Robot Damashii ELS Quanta. Hey, what's up again everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs, gundam.tk, and today I'm taking a look not at Gunpla, but of course the question is whether we ever will get a Gunpla of this. It's the ELS Quanta from Gundam 00 Awakening of the Trailblazer, the movie. Late 2012 release sells for around 4,400 Japanese yen. From Robot Damashii, this is side MS, and its R number there is SP, as it's not going to have a numbered entry in the series, as it is an online exclusive. The ELS Quanta itself is of course going to be Setsuna's final mobile suit from Gundam 00, not just the anime, but in the follow-up movie, as mentioned, Awakening of the Trailblazer, where you're going to see it for all of about 5-10 seconds, and it's going to have a very unique, alien-looking and futuristic form, as Setsuna finally achieved peace with the help of a vegetable, and then he's going to come back and let everybody know that he's not the same old violent kid that he used to be. When you get this, it's going to come in this kind of shipping box here, and you've got Robot Damashii ELS Quanta written up there, and a whole bunch of recycling information. But of much more interest is going to be what's inside here, which is going to be offering up the much more attractive packaging that you'd normally see on retail shelves. Quick look around the box now, where you can see on the side that you're going to have that alien-looking form there, mostly white there, with just the blue in the upper body to go along with the red and that nice green. We'll see how much of it is going to be clear, but it's always great to see these. These ones you won't see on retail shelves normally, but when you've got them side by side there and it just shows off the side, very well done packaging. To the back now with a large picture of the Quanta in a field of dreams there and peaceful flowers. And it's going to say over here as they show it off there from the side that it is going to have some clear parts in there, so looking forward to seeing exactly where those are all applied. You can see that he's going to have a very simple form there, not a lot of lining. You could go ahead and add it, I suppose, if you wanted to. And in terms of weapons, although how canon these are considering the very brief appearance that we actually saw in the movie, you've got 3 different weapons there, and you can have those actually attached in hand. And here you can put them up on a Damashii stage. Inside the box we go now, where you are going to be treated to a UPC code, of course, and slide it out. You're going to have the manual down there on the bottom, and the body and wings with all the accessories. Here's a better look with the cover off, where you can see that the wings are going to really dominate the packaging there. A clear little insert there. You've got the main body, and then you can see the 3 weapons here. It's going to have these attachment points and 4 extra manipulators there that aren't going to manipulate much, and it does have a Damashii base attached in behind. Straight to it out of the box, you are going to notice just the overall simplicity of the coloring choices there, although it's going to keep all the familiar Quanta parts in all the right places. It's just going to have them all sort of toned down there, as instead of very red feet, you're just going to have the tips and the backs there with this faded effect there, which is sort of cool. And you can also see that that's going to apply on the waist, as that waist section back there is going to have some red, which is going to blend up onto the chest, and you'll see the same thing on the front skirt. It looks like this guy has even less on than Exia. The real star of the shows, though, are going to be these clear green parts, though, that are absolutely massive, a lot bigger than you're actually going to get either on the PG00 or on a Quanta, especially a PG if we ever had one. And the 2 here on the elbows are actually going to show off quite well, because these ones are nicely rounded, which means even when you're looking at it from the front, you are going to see them jut out there, which is looking pretty good. And it's sort of cool. It's the kind of thing you're never going to notice in a few seconds in a movie theater. But over here, because he should have that massive shield on, he's still going to have the asymmetrical shoulders. But ultimately, it's going to be the simplicity of the head design that isn't really going to catch your eye, but instead it's always just going to be going to those clear green parts before we add the wings. And here are some close-ups of the face, where you can see you've got solid red feet, and you've just got that little bit of red. It's really not going to stand out that much, and you can see that they also sprayed it here onto the ankle. Obviously, they just shot it from the bottom down below. Here's the waist section. It's not really coming across on the camera, but it is pretty red if you see it under just regular light, and there it is on the back. And it is really cool, not only just to see the details in here, but just how hollow that chest is. It looks like it's almost a centimeter deep there. Some good details overall. Posability first, though, before the wings get put on. As you can see that the legs can come up nice and high there, and they can go back quite strangely. And the hips themselves are going to move this much off to the side, and it looks like you can't actually swing the whole mechanism in there. For the knees, though, it's going to be a little bit disappointing, though, as if you bend it here, you're going to notice that it's only got the 1 rotating point there, and it's going to reveal a pretty ugly leg if you had him arcing through the air gracefully there. And if you move down to the ankles, though, you can see that this part here is going to move around quite a bit. The toe is going to move up and down here, so you can have either the toes down, and it's clearly built with that in mind so that you can do an impressive looking toe down in space pose. The hips rotate around here almost completely, which is nice, and the waist itself, if you want to twist it around awkwardly, yes, you could do a full rotation there if you wanted to. Of more interest though, you can see that you've got a bending point there as the chest is going to go forward and back, and you can see that neat little circle that's ingrained into the 00 and especially the Quanta there, and that's going to move around there. The shoulder itself is going to pop up here, and if you want to rotate this around, you can do that, and it's just going to pop that whole thing right off, so you're going to want to be a little bit careful of it. You can see the range of motion there. The elbows are going to have 2 points of articulation as you bend this one up, and then you bend this one up, so you're going to get about a 135, can't really complain about that. Looks like this forearm here is just splitting apart a little bit there, and there's some more close-ups of those nice green jewels. And the head, well, relatively simple, is going to have the black lining there on the face mask. Otherwise, it's just going to be all white, including the V-fin up there. And you can see that it's going to have a bending point here, and the neck is going to move forward and back. So not bad overall for articulation, but something that you'd really expect when you've got this kind of simplicity in the overall design. Out of the box, though, it's going to be this wing set here, which is by far the most intriguing part of the Quanta, just to see how it goes to work here. It's definitely got a very distinctive look compared to something like Freedom or Strike Freedom or Destiny or all the wings we've gotten used to over the years. If you take a look at it here, you can see that you're going to have these 2 parts in the middle, and otherwise there's 4 parts per side, 10 in total here, and the actual construction is going to be made out of these nice clear parts down here, and it's actually going to fade down here, so you've got no coloring at the end, green here in the middle, a little bit of red, fading up into the nice familiar Quanta blue. And in terms of movement and the attachment point, you can see that that's just going to plug in nice and solid into the back. You can take these parts here and bend them down, and let's see how these are all going to work here. This part is going to move up and down, so you can have these parts moving around independently. Looks like pretty much everything moves independently. This part is going to move around here, and most of them are just going to rotate. You'll notice that they come out ever so slightly off to the side, but you're not going to be able to do anything too dynamic there. This part is just going to have this much range of motion here. These ones on the side you could rotate all the way around, and they are going to have a little bit more give off to the sides. These ones independent here, and these top parts, if you move it, are going to move this whole set of 5. So this one is going to be the key to moving that. And these parts here you already saw got rotated. They're not going to have much give up and down, but they are going to go off, well, if you want to put them off to one side. But the more you see of the details that go on the inside there, as you can see, you've even got the clear parts there with the color separation all painted on. That makes you realize that this would be very difficult to recreate in Gunpla unless you're a pro painter, and it's still going to be the kind of thing that seems almost perfect to be coming out in toy form. With the backpack on, the whole dynamic of the kit is going to change completely here, as I've got them pretty much in their most back position, or everything's in instead of actually trying to be spread out, which is the kind of thing, of course, that you can set this up to be as dynamic as you want. You're going to have to be careful, of course, that if you put this much weight on the back that you're going to set the legs back, but because you've got the Damashii stage, it looks like it's not going to be too much of an issue, as this guy is clearly meant to fly. But he's definitely peacocked out, as you can just see from the front how plain the overall coloring and lack of lining is going to come across. But the minute you get to see it with that backpack on, especially if you put them off to the sides, he's definitely going to look a lot cooler. I was just about to say there aren't too many weight issues. And you're not going to notice it so much from the side, but there's actually a decent range of movement here, because even though you're only talking about a few degrees there, when you've got lengths like that, you can see that they're definitely going to go off to the side. And so when you add it now, stare at it from the front, not again so much, but if you ever had it on its shelf or on your shelf just off to the side like this, you would definitely see it, as you're going to see it down below the legs, and you can have a very interesting pattern shooting out there. But in terms of the size and overall just bulk and build of these, you can see that the new Gundam is going to have its UC characteristics all over the place there, but overall a pretty slender and stylized body. Not quite as much as the version KA, but you can imagine if this toy came out 10 years earlier, it would be a lot bulkier. But you can see he's going to have a lot more paint apps just all over the place, from the toes down to the legs, and especially on things like the side skirts where you've got the yellow on 3 different sides. The Quanta is going to come across as a lot more plain until you turn to the back, but height-wise it looks like they're lined up just about right, as the new Gundam really should tower over everybody, even if they are aliens from an onion future. And it's sad that we don't have all that much from Awakening of the Trailblazer besides the high-grade line, but if you were to go and line them up, here you can see that we're going to have the HFX, which also has some similarities to the new and the 00 Quanta, but you can see if you had it on your shelf next to the other high grades from Gundam 00, that it wouldn't really stick out in terms of being out of place. It just definitely doesn't have a gunpla feel and not the same blocky construction. Definitely smoother all over, but in terms of overall height, he's not going to stick out in a bad way. But if you want to talk about alien-looking designs for lead Gundams, or lead bad guys here, if you want to put it that way, the Legolas Gundam doesn't have his legs straightened up here, but you can see that they've both got that very unique look to them, although this guy really, outside of the backpack, could come across as just a variation of the regular Quanta. So there's more to come, so stick around to see the weapons and the posing and him actually up in the air just to see how dynamic that backpack can make him look. I wonder if backpack's even the right word. And of course, speculation and lots of other things to discuss. Anyway, everybody, as always, let me know what you think with a comment down below, and stick around for lots more news, reviews, and everything else you can use. See you next time, everybody, as he vanishes away.